I think the composition looks really good right now. In this lesson, we'll learn about negative space and how that can improve our overall composition.
I'm going to explain this part that is a bit more conceptual with the use of the composition that we just did in our previous lesson. So I'm going to go back to Illustrator. I have the composition here. And to have a better explanation of what we're going to do, I'm going to invert the colors of this composition. So far you have seen that we actually haven't been introducing any color, and the reason I do that is because when just working in black and white, it's easier to identify some of the issues in our composition, so without being biased with the introduction of color. These two elements of background and foreground, in this case background and element, are elements that need to be considered and evaluated by themselves. So that's what we're going to do in here. You see in here that I have changed these two colors of our composition. So if I just click in here, you'll see the differences of what I'm saying. This is going to be your positive and this is going to be your negative. Basically everything that is in black, if you were printing this, is what is going to be the ink. Think of an X-ray as well, where shadows come to white, and in here is happening something similar. So basically I'm going to leave it like this for now. And what we're going to talk about is all the space that is around the composition. The first thing is the relationship with the elements, and the base in black in this case is something that we want to design itself. At the moment, you'll see the first thing is that at the top we have a margin with Domestika, and at the bottom we really don't have a lot of room here. We have this kind of shape that comes in as an arrow, and then we have these little circles, and this is all what I'm looking at. At the moment, this looks very discompensated, so I'm going to scale this down a little bit so we have more room in our composition. Look at from the far. I'm going to lock the background by clicking Command 2. But still, it feels a little bit disconnected, especially this part. I want this to feel that it's something separate from this part. I like how the air runs in between the art of working with typography at the top and at the bottom, especially in this part when this arrow comes down. And it's kind of creating a hop for the G, something that I like. So I'm gonna do it a bit more intentional by moving it to the left a little bit. So then let's think of this as air coming in between the shapes. So we have air coming through this curve in between Domestika, maybe a little bit tighter so it feels that it's almost touching to each other. And then comes down, flows in. We really have air and a space here for the air to come in. Kind of hogs to the, comes out, then might come in again. And all the space that we have around it is almost even at the top of the bottom. It's okay because we actually want this slightly closer to letters than this part, because this is where it belongs. If you remember in our previous lessons, how we want the viewer in this case to read the message. So we have Domestika Presents. Maybe we do this a little bit slower. So it's Domestika Present. A good catch if you notice this. Domestika Presents attention to the letters, or the art of working with typography in a bit more humanistic way. A class by designer Abraham Lully. This is pretty simple. I think it reads correctly, and from the far, I think we're going to have a lot of contrast there. This is working as a composition, and on the native space, I think we have good opportunities, especially on this side. Now that we have messed with the top, let's compensate with the bottom. And I'll go back to explain a little bit more in depth of the negative space. As I said earlier, the black part is what we're looking for. In this case, white should be the paper. So if you come inside here and you see this shape, that is drawn in black, that is really what we're designing in here. This is an exercise that you can do also for spacing, but in this case, this is just composition. What I wanted is the overall shape of the comp. Looking at it this way, one of the things that I'm not convinced at the moment are these circular devices. Maybe this is not actually a ticket, and maybe we don't actually need this. I'm going to do something else. I feel like the shape of the X in here is really working, so maybe we repeat that in here. I'm going to bring my pen tool and the guides. I'm going to draw another guide there, just exactly in the center. There we go. Even if it's not the center of the bounding box, I think that might work because it's the center of our shape. Click Insert and drag it in. Something that it feels closer to in the same shape as this one. You can even duplicate and adapt it a little bit more. I think this is it. And now you'll see that we have, because it's a harsher entry, we're actually not having a lot of space for these elements. So I'm going to scale that down, adjust the leading as well, and then copy that format with the use of the eyedrop. Just click the letter I and you'll have the eyedrop tool. Duplicate that, Control Shift, right click, transform, reflect, and move the shape in, always at the center. Once we have done that, of course, we need to readjust this part. I think it looks good. Now, because we have the curve and now we change this part, we need to move the composition slightly down. I think this is going to be just great for us to have also more fun doing something on the background later on and introducing color. So I'm going to change these two colors, revert them to the original colors. And now we have composition adjusted with the use of the negative space.
All right, I think that's all with the negative space. What we'll do next is we'll print this out in our next unit, we'll evaluate, fine-tune, and finish our piece.